So I made this pillowcase with French seams on my sewing machine. I also have a video up that you can watch to show you how to set up your brother LX3817 machine. So go watch that first and then come right back and watch how I made this pillowcase. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. First, I'm going to prep my fabric. This is the fabric that I'm going to use, and I'm absolutely in love with it. Like, it's so cute. I love the sunflowers. It just makes me want to sing.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine.
I'm just going to use these jars to keep my fabric from falling to the floor while I lay my pattern out to cut it. And yes, I made my own pattern. This is just a big piece of paper that I used to have, or a roll of paper that I have, and I just cut it to the size that I needed, which is a 13.5 by 21 inches, and that's the perfect size for a travel pillow, which is 14 by 20. I laid my pattern down, and I use these buttons as pattern weights because they're not too bulky, and I can use my cutting mat on the side of it as a guide for my rotary cutter because I am not the best straight edge cutter, and this works for me, so do what works for you. And I'm going to cut my pattern out so that the middle where it's connected is still intact, and I'm just going to do that with my rotary cutter as you see me doing here. Yes, it moves a little bit, but this is like the easiest thing that you can make when you're first learning how to sew, when you're a beginner. I'm still a beginner. I'm not making clothes or anything like that, but just little things like pillowcases get you a little bit more confident to venture out. So I'm going to try some more things, but right now we're just going to stick to some pillowcases, and I have some other little projects in store to help you build your basics of sewing. So I'm just going to finish cutting this pattern out using my rotary cutter and the mat. I'm going to do that for the top and the bottom, and then that open edge I'm going to use the cutting mat for all sides, and we're going to leave it intact like I said earlier. Also, I'm not cutting right beside my pattern. I'm leaving room for my seam allowance, so just keep that in mind, that depending on how you want your pillow to fit to your pillowcase to fit to your pillow, you want to make the adjustments based on your seam allowance. So my seam allowance may be different from yours if you want yours to be snug or if you want yours to be loose. This is just how I'm cutting mine out, so just pay attention to whatever size pillow that you'll be using, because this can be used for any size pillow. You just have to adjust the measurements. Don't forget to like this video, comment any questions or any ideas you have for me, and also subscribe and turn on your notifications. And I should be almost done with cutting this out. My rotary cutter has been through everything. I need a new one. So this is what my fabric is going to look like once I cut my pattern out. Like I said, the middle is still intact, and the two outside pieces that are open is going to be the opening for your pillowcase. I'm going to hem those. So I'm going to get an old towel because I need a big workspace, and I do not have an ironing board that is big enough for this. So I'm going to take my fabric and the corners that are going to be open. I'm going to do my hem, and the best way for me to do it is to flip it over once, and then I'm going to flip it over again. You can make this section as big or as small as you want it to be, depending on your pillow size and your seam allowance. Mine's going to be kind of small. Once I fold it over twice, then I'm going to take my iron, and I'm going to iron down my hem so that I don't have to pin it, and that my hem is going to stay in place when I get ready to sew it down with my machine. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm going to do that to both open ends of the pillow, and that's going to be the opening where the pillow actually goes into the pillowcase. So I'm just going to do that to both sides, and I'm going to also, right here, what I'm trying to do is make sure that my pillow is still going to be even, because I have that middle line that is still intact, and that's going to be like the middle part of my pillow on one side, where I'm not going to have to sew anything because I'm just going to use that as is. And now I'm going to fold down the other side and iron down that side as close to the same length as the other side, so that they will match up whenever I get ready to sew them. Now I'm going to head over to my sewing machine, and I'm using the shortest stitch, and I'm just going to sew my hem together. And don't forget to do your back stitch at the beginning and the end of your stitch. I forgot to do it for the beginning, but I didn't forget the end. And the way that you're going to back stitch is you're going to hit that little lever and hold the foot pedal, and it's going to go back, and then you let it go, and then you'll be able to go forward again. So once I did both hems, this is what my pillow is looking like. Y'all stick with me, like it's going to look so good in the end if you can just follow these last few steps and trust the process. So first, with the right sides of the fabric facing outward, I'm going to pin my ends together where the pillow is open so that I can still have that same middle point, because like I said, I'm not cutting that to sew it back up. I'm trying to make this easy. You're going to only have two sides that you need to sew and do French inseams on at this point. So that's what I'm doing here, is I've matched my ends where the openings are and made sure that they're even. And now I'm going to take some clips and put it on the side that I did not cut. And this is just to make sure that the fabric isn't moving. If you don't have clips like this, you can also use pins. I prefer the clips because I don't poke myself in the finger. I'm not steady enough for that. So we're just going to use these clips. And then I'm going to take either the top or the bottom, whichever one you want to call it. And then I'm going to clip the edge so that they are matching all the way down the top side and the bottom. Also, I did go ahead and take off the clips that I had the side that was still intact because I no longer need them there. And I'm going to sew the place where you see the clips at the top and the bottom. And like I said, yes, I'm sewing where the right side of the fabric is facing outward, but it's also going to make sense in the next couple steps. So just trust me and go ahead and sew up your sides of your pillow. Now this is what your pillow should look like, and now it's time to take your scissors, or if you have a steady hand, you can take your rotary cutter, and that little excess amount of fabric that is right on the outside of your seam, you're going to cut that off. And for some reason I always struggle with this, and I'm not good or steady with my hand enough to try it with a rotary cutter, because this pillow would basically not be salvageable after I slice and dice it with that. But I'm not going to let y'all watch me struggle. I'm just going to go off camera, and I'm going to cut off the excess all the way around on both sides. And then it's going to look like this. You see now it's very, very close to my thread, and I don't have much excess fabric. And then I'm going to turn my pillow inside out. And once my pillow fabric is inside out, I'm going to use my iron to make my seams crisp and make sure that the middle line where those seams meet together is in the middle and not straight to the side or just out of place. It needs to be in the middle, and I'm going to do that by using my iron, but I'm just going to let you guys see what I'm doing. It's very simple. You just pull the inside of the seam out and make sure that middle part is centered on the middle between where you put those two seams together, and then you iron it down. Now it's back to my sewing machine, and don't forget to do the back stitch. Like, it makes everything look so clean. It cleans up your stitches and you don't have all them fraying. Just do it. And I'm going to do the top and bottom where I just iron those hems. And this is what it's going to look like. You have a clean finish without using a serger. It is a few extra steps, but it's nice. It looks really nice when you finish. And I'm just going to turn my pillow inside out. And this is the finished product. This is my pillowcase. And now I can show you what it looks like on an actual pillow.